Hi, this is Amy with the Hag Reads. I am back for my day 11 vlog post. Today I'm going to talk about two books with the same name by different authors. The first book is The Lost World, which is Jurassic Park #2 by Michael Chrichton. This book is set 6 years after the conclusion of Jurassic Park. And brings back Ian Malcolm, who I thought was dead in the first book. My understanding from reading reviews after I finished it is that the Ian Malcolm character was resurrected because the book was specifically written with the idea that they would make it into a sequel to the movie Jurassic Park, and that the actors who played the doctor and the Ellie character, that they didn't want to return for the movie, so they had to skew it a different way. And I saw some of the explanations. You know, they never really actually said he was dead. It was implied that he was too sick and that he couldn't make it out, and that he died on the island when they basically blew it up. So it was a little bit of a surprise that he was right at the beginning of the book there, because I thought he was dead and we would see more of the same characters, and we didn't. In this book, I feel like what the reader got was even more pompous eggheads than last time. And at least the adult characters for me were likable. So we have Richard Levine, which is the instigating force behind this new investigation looking for Site B, the sister island to Jurassic Park. He's convinced that InGen had a second site and that there are still dinosaurs. And of course, throughout the first part of the book, they're basically indicating that dinosaurs are being found on the coast of South America, and so his reasoning is that it must be coming from somewhere, like that they did not just spontaneously generate an extinct species in South America, that it must be coming from somewhere or be as a result of something InGen did in the past. So that's kind of the premises, and so Ian Malcolm winds up going along kind of with this whole, with Levine's plan, even though I don't think I would go back based on the extent of his injuries and his experience. I would not begin to look into a second island with dinosaurs on it. I just wouldn't. So you get Ian Malcolm, pompous genius, Richard Levine, who is a extremely obnoxious, almost like ADD level energy, running around. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. He does what he wants. He's irresponsible. Throughout the entire book, they spend the whole book, you know, Ian Malcolm, the character Sarah Hardy, and then there are just two kids who Levine kind of brings in to help him dupe the bad guys here. So all of the good guys in this book are these egghead genius types, including the kids are pretty intellectually advanced for their age. And I think the kids are there mainly for the level of information dump that goes on in the book about why things are the way they are, about the dinosaurs and all of that, because I don't think they could come up with a way for adults to go on at length like this. So you get some conversation between the kids themselves about dinosaurs, and then the adults explaining things to kids, and in some cases the kids explaining things to adults. And then you get the bad guy character, which is the guy who was trying to buy the embryos in the first book. He's back, and he's even less appealing because he had such a minor part in the first book, I guess. But he's apparently the kind of scientist that goes around stealing other people's research and then improving on it, or finding people to improve on it. And so he's just like a character with no moral values. It's whatever he can get for himself. And so they're all in pursuit of this one island, and Levine wants to study, as does Malcolm, for their own reasons, and then the other characters, their goal is to get eggs and to get off the island with viable samples, so they can reproduce this technology. And then the rest of the story is all the screwed up shit that happens after they get to the island and they're isolated there. I did not really enjoy this one as much as the first one, although I have to say I liked the children better. The first ones, I really just wanted them to get eaten. This is remarkably different from the second and third movies. The movies significantly changed the plot and the characters, and so you only see the bones of the story in the movies. I think I would have been happy if I hadn't read it. Now I have, and that's over, and I don't think there are any more Jurassic Park books out there, and I'm happy about that. There were some interesting things with the socialization of the dinosaurs, particularly the velociraptors, that I found kind of fascinating, and I wonder how much truth there is to that, but I am not sufficiently motivated enough to, really dig in and research if it's true or not. If you know if it's true and you know what I'm talking about, please feel free to enlighten me. I would love to know, but I'm not going to go out there and research it on my own. And then my second book for today is, I also read The Lost World, which is Professor Challenger #1 by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote the Sherlock Holmes mysteries. And I didn't even know, first of all, I thought I had read this before, but when I started reading the book, I realized I have never read it. I just know the basic plot. I think it was a movie back in the day, maybe a black and white movie, kind of cheesy. I didn't know there were more books to the series, and I don't know if I'm going to read any more of them, although I feel kind of compelled to, because I didn't particularly like the Professor Challenger character. In many ways, he is like Sherlock Holmes in terms of ego and intellect, but physically, he's the exact opposite. He's short and hairy and portrayed as almost Neanderthal-like, with a very aggressive temper, extremely disagreeable, like the level of genius that doesn't have the patience for even genius-level people, much less anybody he deems below himself. Like normal people would, like ants on the ground to him. I found him entertaining in the book, but imagining having to deal with him as a real person and throughout this adventure that they go on, I can't even imagine. Like, bleh, the idea of it is so repugnant to me. In this book, the main characters are obviously Professor Challenger, and he's just come back from an expedition, and he lost his proof for what or his proof is compromised. Like, his pictures got water damaged, and he lost the body of the pterodactyl he said he found. And so he's being mocked by his peers, who he doesn't even consider his peers. He considers himself even better than the most elite academics of his time. And so in a public forum, he challenges them that he will go back, that he will allow another scientist and a small group of people, he will tell them where to go. He doesn't want to release the information to anybody else. He wants it to be his find. So as a result of this public forum, skeptic Professor Summerlee, who is kind of the prim and proper British academic, who is vehemently opposed to all of everything about Professor Challenger, his person, his beliefs, and more specifically, this find of this lost world with dinosaurs and primitive man, and that sort of thing. So you wind up with Professor Summerlee, and then kind of a rugged, safari, going on adventures, big game hunter kind of guy. Lord John, who's rich and can fund some of the journey. And then journalist Edward Malone, who was assigned by his editor to get a story about Challenger. And in the process, he kind of becomes a believer in what Challenger is saying, and so he goes in also as kind of a skeptic, but as a third person to verify, or one way or the other, if there is in fact a Jurassic, lost world, not Jurassic, I'm getting that from the other book, but a lost world with dinosaurs and a prehistoric man. So they go out on this, and the premise is these three are going, and they're going with a letter that they're not supposed to open until they get there, and they're going to go on their, they're going to embark, get on the canoes, and go down the river. And they get there to do that, and of course, the pompous, arrogant Professor Challenger could not possibly let them go on this without, he shows up, and he kind of takes over the whole thing. And that's all I want to say about it, because I really thought I knew this story, and I know the bones of it, but I didn't know any of the, his characterization and all of the stuff in England, and then you get to South America. It was really kind of eye-opening for me. I really had no idea the extent of the novel and how far it went into the dinosaurs and what happened to them and how they got to this kind of lost world. So that was kind of exciting for me. There are a lot of, for the time period, it was, racism was pretty typical. So they're talking about half-breeds and Negroes and stuff like that. And so that part's a little uncomfortable, but it is historically accurate. That's how, these old white academics thought about Native peoples. So that part probably will not make some people happy, but it is historically accurate as part of the mindset of the people in the time frame that this book takes place. I would recommend it if you have never read it and you think you know the story, to actually pick it up and read it. As frustrating as Challenger is, this is a very interesting story, and I actually got, pretty into it. I stayed up late reading it, and I really thought, based on the first couple of chapters, that I was going to hate it when I picked it up, that it was going to be a slog of a read, and I actually wound up enjoying it quite a bit. That's all I have to talk about today. I'm not going to talk about my knitting yet. I kind of want to show as much as I can when it's completed, so it may be a day or two more, or you might see a second video on a day as soon as I've got enough completed to show some finished products there. So happy whatever time of day it is for you. Thank you if you have watched to the end, and I will see you next time. Bye!